Hey, it's Parsha Truma, and in this parsha we start talking about the building of the Beit HaMikdash, the tabernacle in the desert, and eventually became a temple in Jerusalem. So we have it's the beginning of five parshiot, five parshas where we talk about the building of the Beit HaMikdash and all the details and the materials used and how we contributed and what were the donations made of and what were the weaving of the goat hairs that created the coverings for the vessels in the Beit HaMikdash and the altar and the ark and all these different things and all these details for five parshas and asks Netivot Shalom. It's interesting because we think that the Torah is completely eternal for every single generation, and each and every mitzvah is eternal. It's not something that you could say, oh, that doesn't exist today, because then you're saying that the Torah is not relevant for certain generations. And it really seems like this mitzvah, especially v'asu li mikdash, create for me a tabernacle, v'shachanti b'tocham, and I will dwell among them. It seems to be only referring to the generation that actually built the Beit HaMikdash. So it referred to the first Beit HaMikdash and the second Beit HaMikdash. There were two groups of people that this seems to refer to. So why take up so much space in the Torah for a mitzvah that only is obligated upon the generation that actually build the Beit HaMikdash? It didn't even really refer to all the people that lived at the time when the tabernacle existed. The tabernacle in Shiloh, and then the temple in Jerusalem. Those were generations that didn't even have to build the Beit HaMikdash. There was that one generation that built it, maybe another generation that built the next Beit HaMikdash, and that was it. So what's the deal? How does this refer to each and every one of us? So of course we know that this is Netivot Shalom. He always says that our business in this world, or our purpose in this world, is to create a relationship with Hashem. And each and every one of us can create within ourselves, within our homes, within our lives, a small microcosmic Beit HaMikdash, a temple or a tabernacle or a place where Hashem feels at home within each and every one of us. He says a very beautiful metaphor. He says a really cute idea, and that is where he says that he brings an analogy to a king who marries off his daughter. He has one lone daughter, an only child, and he loves her very much, and he marries her off. She gets married, and she's off and running to another country to live with her new husband, okay? And the king is bereft, and he says, I have only one daughter, and I can't leave her. So I can't say don't marry her, or I don't want her to get married. Of course I want her to get married. And I can't tell you, the husband, my son-in-law, not to have a wife who lives with you. Of course you need to live with your wife, and that's my daughter, but I can't leave her either. So if you don't mind, could you just create a little room in your home where I will come and live there with you? Okay, so I am just going wherever my daughter goes. I'm very sorry. You need to create a guest room for me that I will live there. So too, says Netivot Shalom, what this is talking about is that each and every one of us has to have within our own lives a room or an area where God feels comfortable living there with us. Now, it would be great if we could create in our lives, we become this small Beit HaMikdash, and that is wonderful. And he does bring that up. And initially he says, if you need to say to yourself, is this a home where I feel comfortable that God has a room? God is in the guest room. He's just right here. He lives with me in my home. And it's as if Hashem is saying to us, I gave you the Torah. And as soon as I gave you that Torah, it's like I'm letting you marry my only daughter. So I need to go with that daughter. Wherever that Torah goes, I go. Because that's really part of me. It's a piece of me. I'm giving you the Torah, and now you're going off and living with that Torah. And I need to feel at home in your house, in your life, because that is my only daughter. So it would be great if we could always just kind of think to ourselves, and this is the idea that we have to feel that we are the child of Hashem, and we can say to ourselves, does God feel comfortable in this home? Is this a home where Hashem feels that he can live? And in general, that is the whole mission of the Jewish people. We are different from other nations, as we well see these days, that we have a certain code of morality, a certain absolute truth that we walk around with. And we have values that we are not willing to compromise on. And yet, he also says, Netivot Shalom, that if that can't be, if you can't live a completely holy life, at least create one room in your house where Hashem feels comfortable. And what that means, what he says is very interesting. He says, you basically have to have one mitzvah that you feel is your mitzvah, that this is the place where you are working on, I wouldn't say perfection, but you're working on a level of holiness that Hashem will feel comfortable being in that area of your life. So, we even see it. It's unbelievable with these returning hostages, I've been hearing amazing stories. It seems like each one of these people who, by the way, when they went into captivity, I don't think they considered themselves religious in any way. Some of them do not keep Shabbat, do not keep Kashrut, do not keep Brachot. They don't know anything. And yet they come back, and the stories that are slowly but surely coming to the fore are unbelievable stories of devotion and sacrifice for our Jewish values. Like one person, Yarden Bibas, unfortunately, who we buried his wife and two sons yesterday, a story was told that he was asked to become Muslim. And he was told that he would be treated much better, and he would be able to eat more, and they would give him more food and so on if he became Muslim. And he said, no, I was born a Jew and I will die a Jew. And they definitely did not treat him well in captivity. Another person started saying brachot in captivity, and he heard just like somehow this bracha of mizonot. So he started saying mizonot on everything, because mizonot means, borei minei mizonot, means creates different sorts of food. So he just assumed that was the bracha that we make on every single food. And when he came back from captivity, this is Keith Siegel. I hope he doesn't mind if I say the names, but it's only good stuff. He said, when they asked him, what's the first food you want to eat for Shabbat, for our first Shabbat dinner? What steak can we make you? What meat? What would you like to eat? And he said, you know what? All I really want is a kippah and a cup to make kiddush. He never made kiddush before. That wasn't a thing for them. And this is what his daughter said. This is the story. And oh my gosh, so many stories. Unbelievable with Agam Berger. Agam Berger is amazing. She basically decided that she's going to try not to break Shabbat. When she knew it was Pesach, they all tried not to eat chametz. She decided to eat kosher. There were so many things she couldn't eat, and they couldn't eat anyway. They had no food. And she was making sure that this was something she was going to keep. And I heard now the other day of these girls that would keep Shabbat, and they would sing Shalom Aleichem, and they taught themselves to sing it in Arabic. Literally, Salam Aleikum in Arabic, so that their captors wouldn't see that they're doing something religious and Jewish and getting together and doing something fun. They were just talking like Arabic among them. They were saying Salam Aleikum, and it's like unbelievable. What are these girls keeping Shabbat? Like, since when? And it just seems like they're making this little guest room for Hashem, and they're making sure that Hashem feels comfortable with them. And there's one thing or two things or a few things that they are going to do no matter what. They're going to make sure that they keep their values, they keep their Jewishness. And it was just so inspiring. It's just unbelievable what's going on in this country with these hostages who have really given their lives. They've given their lives, and they are going to make sure, even if they're not religious, that they have that godliness inside of them, and they don't let anybody forget it. So, and also Netivot Shalom says specifically what each and every Jewish person has always, that they can always go back to, and that's the little guest room for Hashem, is their emunah, that relationship that each and every one of us has with Hashem. And basically what he's trying to tell us is that when we build that Beit HaMikdash, when we build that little room, that little area in our homes where we feel, or in our lives, that we feel that we can invite Hashem in, when we develop that, when we work on our mitzvot, when we are mindful, when we are grateful, when we bring Hashem into our lives, that is building the Beit HaMikdash. We are building it every step of the way. Every time we overcome our Yetzer Hara, we are building the Beit HaMikdash, the tabernacle, the temple, because that is when Hashem feels comfortable. When we are at least appreciating or understanding that we are different from the other nations, and we are creating that little area of our lives that we feel we are dedicating to Hashem. And specifically with regard to the truma, the donation, the contribution, he says specifically each and every person came down to this world with a different purpose, a different mission in life. Now, we all have a different tikkun in life. And as I said, as soon as you start fixing some flaw of yours, or you're working on yourself and you feel like you're working on your humility, or you're working on your anger issues, or you're working on your, arrogance, or your patience, whatever it is, or your chesed, you're putting yourself out, you are building that Beit HaMikdash within yourself, because you're causing your tikkun, you're bringing your tikkun. So you're building yourself. That's what it means to build the Beit HaMikdash. But he also says specifically with the truma, what it is that you're supposed to donate and contribute, it's your specific strengths and talents that you got, that you have. Hashem gave each and every one of us certain talents, certain strengths. And, I know a friend of mine likes to say that, maybe we don't have like some huge mission in life. Maybe it's just, to keep our head above water, to survive, to put one foot ahead of the other, to always try and, do the mitzvot within the situation that you find yourself, which is 100% true. But Netivot Shalom says specifically that each and every one of us does have very specific strengths. And that is where you need to donate or dedicate your strengths and your talents for the Beit HaMikdash, which means for your service of Hashem, for the Jewish people, for Am Yisrael. And I think especially these days, each and every one of us kind of feels like they want to do something big. We want to contribute to the Jewish people. We want to contribute to Jewish values, to bringing godliness into this world, because it's so obvious that if we don't, we are in such a place of evil and meaninglessness and depression and despair, and it's insane. The world is so obviously a world of lies and meaninglessness and emptiness. So I think we do feel that, that each and every one of us has what to contribute. But if we can specifically say to ourselves, okay, what's our strength? What's our talent? And how do we use it to bring good into this world, to contribute to people, to do mitzvot, to bring Jewish values into this world? I just met with a friend today who is a TV show person. She actually put together a one-woman show, right? And on those shows, as a very good, eloquent speaker and influencer and media person, she is bringing about Jewish values. She's talking about Jewish values, bringing meaning and godliness into this world. So that's my hope and my blessing to everybody, and to myself, of course, as well, these days. And each one of us has to bring their own truma, their own donation. Ish asher yidvenu libo, what your heart says that you are good at, that you love, that you're passionate about it, dedicate it to the mission of the Jewish people, to godliness, to bringing good into the world, to holiness, to the Jewish people. Have a good Shabbos.